Thank you. We will now take action on the closed session. Do we have a motion?
I'd like to motion that we accept, approve the appeal, and with the recognition that this is a unique situation where the interdistrict transfer appeal was originally approved and then rescinded.
I will second that motion.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the appeal due to the fact that the attendance was first approved and then rescinded. Arthur?
Aye.
Laura?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
And I affirm as well. Thank you very much. We will now move on to item 11, which is approval of the consent agenda. The consent agenda are items that are of a routine nature that can be passed on with a single vote. Although any board member may pull an item from the consent agenda for individual consideration. Does anybody want to pull anything from the consent agenda at this time?
It's kind of a discussion item, but yeah, I guess we'll just pull 2.2, 11.2.2, board policy, administrative regulation, visitors / outside second read.
Well, I'm sorry.
So we're on number 11.
We're on item 11.
So then 2.2 to pull from the consent agenda.
Okay, so you want to pull item 11.2.2, board policy and administrative regulation 1250.
Correct.
Okay, then we will pull that item and we will go, I will need a motion to approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
I move we approve the remainder of the consent agenda.
And do we have a second?
I will second.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Laura?
Aye.
Arthur?
Aye.
Jacob?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
Teresa?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And I affirm as well. Mr. Gorman, you wanted to pull item 11.2.2?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Brown. I just want to have a discussion about it. If we'd approved it, we would have had a discussion. But we spent some time on this last board meeting.
Mhm.
It looks pretty good. I didn't see anything abnormal with it. I didn't know if anybody else did, and this is our opportunity to talk about all these things together, since we can't talk about it all together on an email, because that would be a Brown Act violation. So I was just going to ask people if they read it and what do they think about it, and if there was anything else that they would like to add or subtract. Since this is the second read, and I think approving this would then put it in process to be approved into the policy. We wouldn't have a third read for approval. This just approves it.
Well, I don't think we have a policy for a third read. We do have a policy for the second read. My understanding of what happened at the last board meeting is that we tentatively approved this, and we're simply bringing it back for a second read. That's why it's on the consent agenda. So, any further discussion?
It's helpful to have it back for a second read because we were doing some changes on the fly there.
Pardon me, I failed to follow procedures.
Shame on you.
Sorry, Laura. Mr. Preller, can you wait while Ms. Manuel finishes her comment? Continue, Laura. I'm sorry. You were saying? That was all? Okay. Mr. Preller?
I think it's largely been covered at this point. I just wanted to remind the board that the reason that it was placed on consent was because the action that was taken at the last board meeting was that there was desire to approve it with two changes. The two changes you will see are noted in the supporting documents in the red line copy. There was the addition of the word register as well as the change based on the language that Trustee Gorman had provided us. And so we went ahead and made both of those changes. And based on the feedback from the last meeting, that's why the second read went on the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Well, if everybody likes it, then I'm willing to approve it. I'd make a motion to approve item 11.2.2.
I will second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve item 11.2.2. I will affirm. Abby?
Aye.
Jacob?
Aye.
Arthur?
Aye.
Laura?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
And Teresa?
Aye.
Motion is unanimous. Item 12 is informational. If anybody has any questions about the information items, would you please indicate so? Mr. Gorman?
Sorry, I couldn't hit my button fast enough.
You haven't come up yet, but I saw you
Have to-
push the button.
I have to go in between screens to get there. So I did have a question, and you guys can help me with the financial snapshot. So when it goes, I was just looking at what we budgeted for, and then right next to it says what the actuals are. And it said there was like on the top, I want to say it was 17 million is what we had budgeted for at the very top number, and then what we actually got was $0. Is that something, like we were anticipating getting $17 million, but we never got it?
So you're looking at the top line
The
here.
LCF, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the report that goes through July 31st, 2025. And so the budget is what is provided by the state through the LCFF calculator. I believe that the actual here doesn't reflect that the funds haven't been received yet. I think that has more to do with the spending category. But what I can do is I can get back with our internal business office and get a exact answer for you, because I would hate to misspeak here. But the LCFF revenue sources are codified in statute, unless there would be a change in the state budget that we talked about when they adopted it that would lower that revenue through the Prop 98 guarantee. And so, that revenue source, I believe that is the number that we are set to receive. But again, I would love to be able to get back to you with a more robust answer on that.
Then also there's like federal dollars, state dollars, and then it says how much if you go down, like how much we're spending on each employee, their benefits, and all that kind of stuff. And are we understaffed on those numbers because the budgeted is higher than the actual payout for the employees? Is that because we need more
It's
employees?
because it's a 1-month snapshot so this report gives us the 26 fiscal year, which began on 7/1 of 25. And so this report just gives us actual numbers through 7/31/25. So this number is 1/12 of what we would expect it maybe to be by the end of the year. However, that will fluctuate as we add employees or as people choose to go other places. This would be at adopted what we anticipated these figures to be. And these are the updated actual spending levels through 7/31/25.
And maybe you can or can't answer, do we have a lot of open positions? I haven't looked at the job board. Is that why, is that something that's there? Am I reading into it? I don't know.
I mean, we generally run an open position list. The numbers of it fluctuate greatly depending on the time of year it is. So like during the summer months, you might have more positions because there's a lot of project share positions, after school positions that are difficult to fill, and we fill some of those through the summer months. But I feel like that's a hard question to ask. We generally have, as an organization of over 400 employees, we generally have several vacancies at any given time. Some of the vacancies are in harder to recruit positions. We've talked a lot about how hard it is to recruit bus drivers right now, and some of the things that we've done to try to incentivize the recruitment of bus drivers. Right now we have 3 bus driver positions open that's impacting our ability to fulfill routes. those project share after school program positions, because they're 3.5 hours, are oftentimes difficult to fill. Sometimes our open position list will look longer because of that, because we might have 70 liaison positions at project share, and we might have 10 of those positions open, or whatever the number may be. I'm not sure if that helps address the question for
Yeah,
you.
that helps. Yeah, we always deal with that at different, like in my place of employment. You just look at the job board and see how many you have open, you know.
Thank you. Moving on to item 13, we have our student board member reports. And we will start with Abby Dagg.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Abby Dang, and I am honored to serve as this year's student board member for Shasta County. I currently attend Enterprise High School and am entering my senior year. I am very grateful for this chance to represent student voices across our county, and I look forward to learning, listening, and contributing this year. So today actually marks the first day of school for us, and with it, there's a lot of changes that are already impacting students. One major change this year for at least my school and my district is the introduction of a flex period. From what I've gathered, many students are finding this new structure a little challenging to get used to. There's confusion about how to use this time well, and some have even raised concerns that this extra period cuts into valuable class time. While I share some of these concerns, I also see the potential benefits of the flex period, such as providing a time when students can catch up on work or have club meetings. This will definitely take time for both students and staff to adjust to, but with clear communication and guidelines, this period can become something very beneficial. Although the decision to implement the flex period comes from the district and is not directed by the board, I still felt it was important to share. It's one of the main topics students are discussing, and I believe it reflects a broader desire for flexibility and balance in our academic schedules. And on a more serious note, vaping and substance use is still a huge issue, particularly at the high school level, though I've heard similar concerns are surfacing in some of our middle schools. Despite our awareness efforts, the visibility and availability of vape products on campus continue to disrupt the learning environment. I know this has always been a great concern of SCOE and this board, and I will gladly offer my time, my voice, and my connections with the students to help in these efforts. Another topic getting a lot of attention, both nationally and locally, is cell phone use in school. Many school districts across the United States have started to ban phones completely during the school day. Thankfully, according to my classmates, Shasta County has not taken that step yet, but many teachers at my school enforce their own rules, such as using phone caddies to manage phone use. It is clear that cell phone management is definitely a challenge. However, I believe that banning phones completely might not be the only or best answer. Solutions that balance accessibility and responsibility could help students stay focused without feeling overly restricted. And finally, one of the fastest growing and most relevant topics in education today is the rise of AI. While there are understandable worries about misuse, like using it to cheat, many students are curious about how AI can be used positively. I believe this is a conversation we need to have. Instead of avoiding AI, we should look at how it can be used thoughtfully for learning. Clear guidelines and open discussions between students, teachers, and admin could help shape how AI is integrated into our classrooms in a productive and ethical manner. Thank you for your time and for allowing me this opportunity to bring forward these student perspectives. I look forward to continuing to serve and share insights from across our school throughout the year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abby. Comments? Jacob?
Alrighty, good evening, board and community members. For those I have not met yet, my name is Jacob Garcia. I'm going into my junior year at West Valley Early College High School. But before I begin my report, I would like to thank you all for selecting me to be one of this year's student board members. It's an honor to represent the Shasta County student body, and it's such a privilege to do so along with such amazing people. Down in the South County, summer was busy for many West Valley students. Over the summer, fall sports were already in full swing. Athletes were practicing day to day. And our incoming freshmen participated in orientation and activities to get to know their class and get used to a new high school schedule. However, today marks the first day of school for us and many other schools in Shasta County. Therefore, tonight I'm going to provide an update of how it's going down there. At West Valley, we welcomed 225 new freshmen, 80 new transfer students, and in total, our student body has grown to over 800 students. This is the biggest West Valley has ever seen, and we're preparing. But these students will be learning in over 25 dual enrollment classrooms that are on campus. And today I saw that the hallways are busier, the classrooms are much fuller, but it's exciting to see so many new faces joining the Eagle family. And as the school year begins and we're all adjusting to our new schedules, West Valley students were introduced to 2 new policies. First was our phone policy. Our policy states that students may not have their cell phones out at all, regardless of teacher approval. And cell phone usage can only happen during passing periods and lunch. We implemented the cell phone policy about a year ago, and this year it became a whole lot stricter. Today we were also introduced to our new AI policy, one that cracks down and disciplines students who abuse AI technology in their schoolwork. And I'm happy to answer any questions on how their discipline offenses work and what we're doing, because we're doing an amazing thing called a pre-assessment, where we're writing a 250-word essay so teachers can reflect on that when we're caught with AI. Just at West Valley, we're looking forward to a great year. We're going to have filled student sections. October's homecoming we're getting ready for, and we're just going to make this school the best one yet. Thank you.
Thank you both. Those were very, very concise and well presented reports. I appreciate it.
Can't press my button fast enough. There, I pushed it.
Mr. Freeman.
Did you press submit?
I thought I did. I'll hit it again.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
All right.
I commend Abby. Jacob, thank you so much for your very thoughtful, very diligent work on first day. You kind of felt like you already had homework and you killed your first assignment, so thank you. I just want to point out to the board that AB 3216 was signed in California, giving the charge to every charter, every district, every county office in the state to adopt cell phone prohibition or limiting policies. And those need to be effective by July 1st, 2026. So those battles that high schools are having with kids, that is a legal mandate for districts to wrestle with effective, needs to have something in place by July 1st of next year.
Thank you. Mr. Gorman?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yeah, I just had a couple questions for Abby and Jacob about the AI. My kids my oldest is at Shasta, or Simpson. My middle one's at Reading Christian, and they talk about AI with their book reports and different things. And so some kids are very creative with getting AI blockers so that they can make their papers. They're working harder to cheat than they are to actually write the paper, you know? Which has never changed in the history of man. People do that all, you know. So what has been your guys' experience when at school? Are there a lot of kids using AI to write the report and getting the creative juice from the AI? Or are these kids coming up with the creative thought on their own, putting it on paper, and then asking AI to edit?
So I've definitely seen my fellow classmates use AI a lot in class. They sometimes even use it for like essays that we write during school, which I don't know how that's possible, but it's really obvious sometimes for teachers to see which essays are written by AI, because they use a certain language and you can kind of tell. I personally use AI for like studying, like maybe making little quizzes for myself for tests and stuff. So I don't find that it's like totally like a bad thing. So that's why I said that we need to have this conversation. We need to find like ways where AI can be used appropriately, not just for cheating, like writing the whole essay yourself. I just discovered that ChatGPT actually has this feature where they guide you through the process of writing an essay. They don't just give you the entire essay. So companies are making these steps to prevent cheating for students. And I find that that's probably like very beneficial for the like AI like usage, like control in our schools as well. Yeah.
So with our new AI policy, I mean, what I see in the classrooms is I see kids do use AI technology to write things. They do use it to get whatever they need. Cheating, abusing it, really what it is. But with the new AI policy, they're asking us to run our things to a platform called GPT-0, and it's basically checking our percentage of AI, and they're really just trying to make sure that we're not like abusing it. Because that's really, there's definitely a balance that you can find with AI because it's going to be around for a long time. And at West Valley, they're trying to find it, and the offenses are harsh. I don't know if you guys would like to hear what we're doing. Our first offense is an easy one, just a phone call home to parent or guardian. And then our second one will be the F on the assignment. And then the next major assignments, you do have to handwrite them. And you do lose all your technology use, so you do have to write them in the library with textbooks, with encyclopedias like that. And then the fourth offense is you fail the class. And if it is a dual enrollment class, they do notify the college about it, and then the college will handle it from there. So what we're doing instead is we are writing the pre-assessment. We're writing that this week, the 250 words, so that admin can reflect on that when students are caught with using artificial intelligence. So it's everywhere. People are using it, the kids are using it. But I think most teachers are doing a great job to teach that there is a balance and there is a way to use it.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman.
I had one more question. I hit my button.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Gordon.
It's the second part for cell phone usage. So do you folks think that with a cell phone policy that makes everybody more accountable and responsible, it will cut down on the AI? Because you have to use your phone for AI in the classroom. So if you are without the phone, you're also without AI. What do you guys think about the cell phone policies?
I think West Valley's main goal with the cell phone policy was to get kids off their phones, because especially with West Valley offering over 25 dual enrollment classes, there is a little bit of free time with homework and finishing on your own time. And I think the main goal for them was to get kids off their phone during class time. But most students do use the AI platforms on their laptops and don't really use them at school. So I think the cell phone policy wasn't used to crack down on the AI usage. I feel like it was used to handle and discipline all the kids using it during school time.
Yeah, so our Chromebooks, at least from what I remember last year, it actually allowed us to go onto ChatGPT. It wasn't blocked. It was blocked for a while, but it came back. So I think that at least our county has had these discussions about the benefits of maybe using AI. So I don't know. I know some students, they just use AI on their Chromebooks to write their essays for them and just paste it into the assignment. Hopefully, teachers can tell if it's AI. Hopefully, I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely an issue. It's not just if you ban your cell phone, then AI can go away.
Mr. Freeman.
Perhaps it's late and maybe I'm hungry, but I'm just curious. if your teachers are using AI?
Yes, yeah.
And is that ironic, or is that, do you
Yeah.
feel a conflict in
Yeah,
you?
I do, yeah. Some a teacher that I had one year used AI to grade our assignments, but would be very like strict about our AI usage. So yeah, I do see the irony. So yeah.
Irony/hypocrisy, maybe.
I do know some teachers that do use AI. Most of them use it for writing emails, summarizing things, and then the leadership class uses it for making images and then stenciling it out on a projector. So teachers are using it, but I haven't had any teacher at West Valley be known of using it for grading or anything like that.
Okay, then we will move on to item 14, which is the superintendent's report.
All right, we will, I'm sorry.
Very
go ahead. Okay, we'll go fast. All right, so this was so last year, right? Anything is possible. And this year we are all about making it happen. We're trying to execute, right? We're trying to be better and do better, and emphasis on doing. So I just want to throw a shout out. To keep that theme alive, we are going into departments when people do amazing things. We're going in and we're actually kind of going old football hit stickers, right? Like when you see college players, they make great plays and they have those helmets covered with stickers, or you go to Mod Pizza and Mod Pizza is like covered in stickers. We're trying to kind of market the theme a little bit with stickers that recognize that somebody on our team did an amazing thing. Exhibit A, I'm going to hand it over if Mr. Preller can press his button, and he can tell us a little bit about what's happening in the picture that we see
Yeah,
up
so
on the screen.
late last week, we got a phone call from a partner district superintendent that the bell schedules posted on their website were not accurate. And so for a district, that might not have a huge deal with their transportation because that might just change the whole route, right? Because everybody's going to the same spot. The way that our transportation works is that, we service all districts, and our dispatch team has to spend a lot of time figuring out routes based on where students live throughout the county, which school they need to get to, because you might have 5 kids on a bus going to 5 different schools, and making sure that their drop-off time is going to be accurate for what their needs are. So it's a big puzzle, right? And so this district had 65 students contracted with us to be on a route. And then we were scheduled for drivers to bid on routes the next day after we found out about this, right? And that could impact bids. And the transportation team and the dispatchers pictured here, Kara and Larissa, they rolled up their sleeves. They worked really hard. They put in some extra hours, and they rerouted those lines so to ensure that Shasta Union High School District students had transportation on their first day of school. And so just incredibly proud of this team and the work that they did in service of students to make sure that all students had that ride on their first day.
Love that. So we're going to try to tell those stories. We're going to try to celebrate when our team steps up. Maybe it's adversity, maybe it's a curveball, maybe it's a situation that maybe isn't necessarily anybody's fault. It's just amazing things are happening. We're trying to celebrate those things. So I just want to do a shout out for those folks making that happen. And I've given out 3 or 4, so these stories are going to be all over the place. You've seen these things before, but I'm about organization-wide culture of excellence, safe and supportive learning environments for all, student success and academic achievement for all, and then community partnerships. We talk about excellence, and here's just a couple of things. Since our last July meeting, we've had an admin council and leadership planning days, an incredible all-call event. Just a shout out, if we can capture that in the minutes, a shout out to all of the folks that made all-call happen. I believe we had 437 people attending Shasta College on that day. Check out the cool shirts, right? Make it happen. So just trying to help with that messaging of the theme. I do want to, something that I shared at all call, Juvenile Court and Community School is no longer called Juvenile Court and Community School. It's called Tri-Mountain Academy. We've actually requested the name change through the California Department of Education, and it has been granted. So henceforth and forever, we will refer to those students as Tri-Mountain Academy students. And it doesn't take a rocket scientist to think about why, right? Kids make mistakes. Kids are sometimes, they lose some freedom because of the mistakes that they make. And then a lot of folks serve their time and because of transcripts are kind of branded. So that everywhere they go after that, that juvenile court and community school is on their transcripts. Now, as juveniles, we do not need to disclose for future college opportunities. We do not need to disclose those things, but the transcript discloses, and that's not right. So Tri-Mountain Academy doesn't communicate that, right? It gives every kid every option. So it's a simple thing. But yes, just today, I stopped by their office and gave them a Made It Happen, right? That's a cool thing. Our LCAP review team is making progress on the instructional and fiscal side. All LCAPs come to our team for review and approval. Fiscal team is working on closing out 24-25. And if you remember the conversations that we had, there's some work there because we are having those conversations about how we might be able to spend down some of those funds. So we have a first interim commitment to bring things back to the board to be able to share, hey, those fund balances that we've been looking at, not just the ending fund balance, because I know that we've had those conversations, but some of those funds we've had earmarked and we just haven't had expenditure plans. And so as we close out our 24-25 school year, that fiscal team is working extra hard to meet the commitment that we made to the board, that at first interim we'd be able to bring some of those suggestions to you. So hats off to that team there. As we think about safety for all, cool picture. Those are bus drivers working on first aid CPR training. But we are looking at AED installation and training in every SCOE building. So this is Ayla Tucker's world with safety, our safety director, but this is a SCOE-wide project, right? We are identifying people that will be participating in trainings. These are going to be AED cabinets installed in every building. Mr. Ross was here. Actually, maybe last year, 2 years ago, he had a staff member that had a cardiac incident and an AED saved his teacher's life. And so when we hear those stories, we think about our own family, we think about our own SCOE team, and those AEDs are going to keep us safe. Professional development in the area of safety. We have emergency procedures for all of our SCOE buildings that Ayla, again, is collaborating with our departments. We have department-specific supports. The picture tells it. Transportation and bus, they have unique needs. They have unique safety needs. Carrie's World with our Carrie Webb and our student programs, they have unique needs. And so we're identifying what specific trainings are needed across those departments. And then as we look out with community partners and with our districts, we're revamping that quarterly Safer Schools. We are looking at a development of a Safer Shasta series. So you'll see a year planned community events aimed at keeping kids safe in Shasta County, right? So it's looking at internet safety, remarkable conversation that we're having with Common Sense Media and looking at like how we can produce some things that are going to help kids with the dangers of exploitation online, right? All kinds of cool things that are happening, and that's supposed to be a teaser. I'm not even supposed to tell you any more than that, but like development of Safer Shasta series, I'm excited about that. And then county-wide consistency. When we meet with our law enforcement officers, our law enforcement partners, this is probably number one concern. Can we get consistent mapping on our campuses across the county? Can we get consistent signage on our campuses across Shasta County? And so obviously we can't force every school to do the things that that we would love for them to do, but we are in the process of developing those relationships and helping everybody see that it is in our best interest to keep kids safe if we can have some consistency across the county as it relates to areas of emergency response and training. So cool things happening there with safety. On the success, I want to just leave it right here. Dolly Parton Imagination Library is launching. You heard from our friends at the library and our friends from First 5 Shasta. In our student programs, we have First day of school, picture today, that is a book vending machine at Excel Academy, right? At our K-8 Excel Academy, we've got a new book vending machine. So again, literacy is that focus, and we're trying to attack it from all kinds of different angles. These are things that Wendy talked about, but I just wanted to make sure that as a good community partner, we are blasting these. So thank you, Carrie Schutte from the Communications Department, trying to get anybody and everybody that is in town to be able to participate in some of these events with the sentenced screening on September 4th. Lots of support. We've got our SELPA, so that's our special education local plan area. Thank you. Local plan area, and I apologize for the acronym, but SELPA is, they have been busy this August launching with admin, with teachers, with paraprofessionals. They've had a liftoff training series. We had CalPads boot camp. CalPads is our statewide data system. Turns out there's like 14 or 15 new people in our region, and this is a super complicated world of state data. And so we said, whoa, 14 or 15 people that have never done this before, how about we hold a boot camp? And so they recently held a boot camp in this building to help those folks. Math coaching. I know we talk literacy, but math is 35-65 in Shasta County that you're proficient. And that's not okay either, right? So we've got some team members that are working really hard to change that approach. We've got new curriculum adoption happening with math this year, so there's a lot of things happening in the math front. We have 7 new superintendents in Shasta County. So my team, Shasta County Office of Education, opened up our doors and said, come on over. Let's have some donuts. Let's have some coffee. Let's get to know you. Who are you? And let's help your hopes and dreams come true for your district. Went around and made sure that they knew the folks on my team that can help them with some of the things that they have as challenges. And that led to me being invited to Millville's Ice Cream Social. So I got to take my wife on a date night to Millville, and we had some ice cream. It was good. Also led to Dan Moore, the new superintendent at Oak Run, invited me to talk to his staff at their Welcome Back retreat that we actually hosted. So some great partnerships happening with Oak Run. We've got the Champions for Children event that Wendy talked about. And then this is that consultant service with the Mountain Union Whitmore merger. Eric Stevens is here. That Christy White consultation service is going to be pivotal when it comes to the CEQA and all of those things. So I wanted to make sure that was on people's radar as well. Support, I just want to highlight a couple of exciting things with Wes. I don't know if you've heard, but I need to do a better job if you haven't. Leadership Reading has chosen Wes. Leadership Reading is going to have a back-to-camp event October 25th at the Anderson Fairgrounds. I'll get the information to you, but this is a Wes Camp fundraiser that Leadership Reading has said, we are all in to help Wes with the rebuild. So all the proceeds from that evening, and they're going to recreate Wes at the Anderson Fairgrounds in like Fusara Hall or one of those halls. We're going to experience, everybody's going to go back to camp. So it's super cool. Sorry, I think that's a 21 and over event. Apologize, Abby, Jacob. We've also had an opportunity to write a letter of support for a grant that they are applying for through the California Wildlife Conservation Board, and the grant ask is financial support to attack some of those need areas. There's some limitations. We can't do student housing, or we can't do some of those things, but they are being very aggressive in seeking out other grant funding sources. So I commend everything that the West Foundation is doing. On the support front, we hosted here in our place, actually early childhood, but the UPK Leadership Symposium brought folks from all over the place. Ada Rappaport working with Leslie Segura and all kinds of amazing people made that happen. And then that's a little flyer of regarding the SELPA launch training series with special education for site administrators. And we saw that, right? We saw the importance and the need for helping site administrators run effective special ed programs. And then this is that Champions for Children. That's going to be on the 6th. While I am not going to be there because I will be at CSBA in Monterey. make no, like, SCOE will be well represented. Our team members will be present at this event. And it's an incredible day at Turtle Bay on September 6th. And that is going to be the launch for Dolly Parton Imagination Library. That will be how people are directed to sign up. That's it. Any questions? Sorry, Austin Preller.
Yes, can we get an update on what's going on out at Oak Run?
Yeah, so change in superintendent and Rick Foss. We have brought Rick Foss in as a fiscal advisor, as a fiscal advisor, and he has been there. He was there last year, and we are continuing that partnership. Rick Foss is a retired, longtime retired superintendent, school administrator, and he is bringing his experience in to work with the new superintendent and the board. Our district fiscal services, Donnell Evans, works very closely with the new superintendent and the board on all things budget related, and they are working as a staff to try to drive an increase in enrollment. They have a current appeal. There is a penalty that they have been assessed, and they are appealing that penalty to California Department of Education, and we do not have an update on that decision yet.
Thank you. Mr. Preller?
I just wanted to provide a little bit of an update on top of what Mike shared about Wes, because I can imagine you could be sitting here hearing about them talking about fundraiser, and we're having fund balance conversation here, right? And Wes is something that's incredibly important to our community as well as to our organization. And so just wanted to give you an update on, if you remember in our in-fund balance, there's a couple of line items. There's $1 million in the fund balance, as well as $800,000 in RDA pass-through funds that are earmarked for Wes. Turns out it's harder to give the federal government money than you would think. And so we are working through the process of being able to find a mechanism to give the National Park Service that $1.8 million for the building of the administration site. Additionally, what we are doing is instructional services, and Claudia might be able to speak to it better than I could, but I do know that there are efforts going on to figure out, like, we know what operation of Wes overnight camps cost 8 years ago. We know that costs have risen significantly since then, and so we need to start reimagining what are those services going to look like when Wes does get to the point where we're ready to offer those services and provide those overnight camps to districts, and how we might be able to subsidize those programs with some of our in-fund balance. And so I think that's part of the conversation that we're hoping to be able to bring at First Interim, is to talk about a plan for Wes moving forward. And so I just wanted you to know, like, as you hear, like, Wes hitting the ground on the fundraisers, that group is doing a phenomenal job. Wes Community has raised so much money, and we are a partner at that table trying to figure out how we can use some of our in-fund balance to help support that effort as well, and I wanted to make sure that you knew that.
Ms. Manuel?
I'm wondering about this Champions for Children. It's at Turtle Bay, and typically Turtle Bay charges admission. Are they charging admission for that event?
No, there is no charge to admission. There are going to be booths. As you walk into Turtle Bay, there will be booths throughout, and there will be reading sessions happening in the Bark House.
Because I heard that the kids get in free, but the parents have to pay.
Oh.
So I would just hope, I mean, because one of the key parts of the Dolly Parton Library is that it's for everyone. You know, it's not, and so I would hope that there's no barrier there on that.
Yeah, let me text Wendy Diggin. Sorry, I'm a really slow texter, so maybe we can.
We will move on to item 15, which is our board discussion. Item 15.1.1 is a proposed resolution in support of student success. Mr. Orlicki.
little button go through, or? Okay. All right, so I wrote this resolution because I would like the Shasta County Board of Education to take a leadership role in some of these issues, encouraging school attendance, fostering partnership with parents, the science of reading to support literacy, banning student cell phone use, supporting requiring community service for high school graduation, upholding professional attire for teachers, and also for deploying roving administrators in schools to help prevent some of the issues like vaping, the fighting that goes on, and other student discipline issues. I think that these issues line up with our mission and philosophy as far as encouraging student success. Even the theme of making it happen. Like, I know we can't direct the districts to adopt these things, but I think we can show what we stand for. And so that's kind of why I wrote this. And I'd like to hear what other board members have to say on this.
So can I ask a point of information? So not my comments, but just,
Yeah, yes, Ms. Manuel.
so I'm curious how you, like if we were to approve this resolution, I'm curious how you think it would be used. Like how would we use it, and what kind of actions and reactions would you expect to receive from it?
I don't know if I can speak to the reactions. I would just say, like, we're taking kind of a leadership role to say this is what we think is important for our community, because I do believe that we have some excellent schools in the county, and I think if all the schools adopted, even half of these things, that they would be even better. And so I'm kind of just trying to take, like, a proactive step in saying, like, this is what works. Like these things do work in other places, and I think that they would help, just to show other school districts what we're doing. Does that make sense? Okay.
Ms. Manuel, you're up again.
So I actually spent a lot of time thinking about this, and I wrote out some thoughts about it. I really appreciate the thought that you put into it. I can tell you spent time on it. I think overall, the things that are listed here, where do I have it? A lot of them are things that I personally agree with and would like to see school districts kind of move in that direction. I think where I have a problem is that I recognize that we don't have the authority to make a school district do any of these things. These are really like decisions that a school district board would take on. So I think from a practical perspective, I kind of look at it and see like, well, what would be accomplished? I thought if we were to approve the resolution, I don't see any school district saying, oh, let's do that because the county board did it. I think what I worry about is like the reaction of districts saying, hey, local control, what is the county board telling us to do and trying to control us? And I guess to me, something that's really important is that the county office has a really good relationship with its school districts, and I really want to make sure that continues, that we're seen as being, the county schools office is supportive, and we work collaboratively with school districts, and we're not coming in trying to tell them what to do, especially if it's something like a dress attire for your staff, or some of the other thing like the community service requirement, a grad requirement for that. That's a pretty big deal for a high school district to decide if there's going to be another requirement. And I wouldn't want us to be telling districts to do that. But I do agree, like I said, there are a lot of things that I personally agree with, and I think that the county has done some of this work, but not through a resolution. Like certainly with the evidence-based reading instruction, we've been on the forefront of that, of helping districts move that direction. with attendance, there was a summit right in this room that had, it was community-wide. It had law enforcement, it had tribal leaders, it had educators, health professionals. I mean, there are all sorts of people in the community, and there was this big summit. And from that, some really meaningful work came out of that, and that was all started with the Shasta County Office of Education. So I think there's ways maybe to address it, but I do have a concern about doing it via a resolution because I worry that school districts would see it as being this heavy-handed Office of Education. So.
Mr. Freeman.
I do get the pro. Michael, I've had an opportunity to talk to you a little bit about this, and I would just want to make sure that it was. I do agree with some of the points, and I would just want to make sure that I was on record stating that our staff that we do have control over as far as in our student programs, they are incorporating a lot of these things. And so I do not want this to be reflected at all. Anyone looking at this, not attending the meeting as a rebuke on our staff not necessarily meeting the, I mean, our folks are roving, right?
Mm-hmm.
When we look at some of the things that are in here, I think that taking a stand and putting something down on paper is powerful. I don't want it to be, I don't want it to land with my personnel as like a rebuke. And so I would just love to double down on some of these things and state that where possible, my staff are doing these things. When the conversation that I have with you, the graduation, the community service requirement and graduation is difficult when you're working with incarcerated youth, right? So like some of these things could be a challenge if we were to look at language like requirement. I think beliefs, I think guidelines and principles to guide and direct maybe what this board feels is a priority or important. I think that all the more power to be intentional about those things. I think in the spirit of what works, that could be a pretty comprehensive list, and I think this is a great start. I'm sure that the individual board members would probably want to add some things. So I just want to make sure that the record is clear that our staff, while not perfect, are doing a lot of the things that you point out.
Thank you, Mr. Freeman. Mr. Gorman?
Thank you, Mr. Brown. I asked a couple, constituents what they thought about this, and everybody seemed to agree that these are all great things to aspire to. The community service requirement, my kids at Reading Christian already have this as part of their deal. That's part of what our school does, and I think every school does it a little bit different, but it's a good opportunity for high school kids to give back. Different times of growing up, different schools had like a capstone that they had to work on for graduation. It'd be great for that to be tied to a community service within their own community where they're giving back and they're working with people every day. I know our board members have talked about community service as well when they've been up here, and it's always good to hang out with your fellow Shasta County folks and do some really cool things. So I'm all for the community service part. The banning of the cell phones, that's like a hot topic, but now it's getting signed in, or has been signed into law, so next year people will have to be very creative with their policies and what they're going to follow with a law that got signed in. But I've seen even coaching sports, people want to pull out their cell phones. You're like, we don't have time for that. We have to play. So go ahead and put that in your bag. There's times to be on your cell phone, and there's times not to. And instructional time, you only have so many education minutes in the day in the classroom. So every time you get a text or a notification that takes you away from learning is just another distraction in the classroom when you only have 45 minutes to learn something. It's not very much time, and it would be responsibility of putting the cell phones away. So all these things I agree with, as this is like a first read and bringing it back for a second read at a different time, I'd be agreeable to if someone put a motion on the table for that.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts?
Oh, did you finally get me?
Yeah, you got down to you finally.
Okay. Well, I was just going to say, I totally agree with the community service, and even with the kids in juvenile hall, there's certain things that they can do for the community while serving time. Wasn't somebody at a bake-off? Oh, that's community service. There's all kinds of things that can be done, because I think community service is very, very important.
Thank you. Mr. Orlicki?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, this is things that we support. I know it's not policy, and I know it's not like, and I agree, it's not meant to reflect the staff at all. It's just things that I thought we could say that we support and like aspire to. I think author used that word, and that's a good thing. It's not. I know we can't tell anyone to do it, but it's just saying that these are things that we think would make things better for schools. That's how I'm looking at it. It's a resolution. It's not a policy.
Thank you. Ms. Dane?
Some of these are a little controversial topics, like the cell phone one, definitely. The community service, so I have a different perspective on that. If we require all high school students to do community service, I do know some schools who do that. There's only a certain number of community service like opportunities in our community. Like from my personal experience, because I volunteer at Mercy Hospital, so that counts as like my community service. A lot of UPrep kids, like I'm name dropping, but their school requires community service hours to graduate, and all of them like flood the Mercy Hospital like volunteer positions, and I guess it's like the most accessible to them. Maybe there's more creative ways to have this community service, like the hours put in, but a lot of students, they're busy, they have like work, they have responsibilities, and sometimes it may be difficult for them to find these creative ways to fulfill the like requirements if we are requiring like community service to graduate. Yeah, so that's my perspective as a high schooler. Yeah.
Thank you. If I may interject myself into this list, one of the issues that was just brought up is the cell phone use, and that's been mandated by the California legislature. We have to hold hearings, public hearings, involving parents, students, and community members. And since it has to involve community members and students, I would like for you two, student board members, to consider leading a student voice panel on this issue, right? So that we can get honest and forthright opinions from the students in Shasta County about this policy that we will have to enact by next July. So just wanted to throw that out there. Ms. Manuel?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to just follow up on what Abby said, because like I said, most of these things I do are personally things that I support, but a graduation requirement of community service is not one. I think it's really hard for high school kids, especially if they're doing sports or they're doing music, or that they already struggle to get all these things in. And then some kids are working, and there's just like a real disparity. I know that with that Yosemite Institute, when my kids were in high school, you could go to the Yosemite Institute, but you had to do a certain amount of community service related to sustainable, earth-friendly things, and it just became this check-the-box kind of thing of these kids trying to go out and figure out where to go to do it, and they weren't really gaining that idea of servicing your community and connecting to your community. It was just like, get it done, and then some parents they were involved in a program and their kid could get right in there, and then others couldn't, and it's just, I don't know, it's just not, I don't see that as a great way to teach about connecting and being in community service. I do think there's ways to do it, and I think schools should look for opportunities where a whole class takes on a project or something like that is probably more meaningful. But just to have here's another thing that you got to do, and are you really going to hold back a kid that meets all the requirements? Oh, they didn't get their community service done, so we're going to hold them back from getting a diploma. I'm not sure that's the best bet.
Thank you, Mr. Orlicki.
I mean, I don't, we're not saying there has to be a certain amount of hours, but let's just say it was 10 hours per year. I'm pretty sure anyone can fit in 10 hours of community service over a span of 183 school days. I mean, that's what, minutes every day? I mean, if you averaged it out. So, and there are dozens and dozens of places where you can do community service. I mean, probably hundreds. So it doesn't even have to be confined to Shasta County necessarily. So I'm not sure that the time is a real issue, and if it was something like just 10 hours over 4 years, or over 183 school days. So that's my thing on that. And cell phones, that's already the law. So it's not really, it might be technically controversial, but it's done. Like it's not something that's going to go away, at least at this point.
Thank you. Ms. Roberts?
I'm not sure if maybe I'm completely way off here, but when you do community service, it's for the community, right? And that would involve something as little as my neighbor needs to have her garbage can taken out. It takes what? 35 seconds. It does, I don't think it has to be a specific amount of hours, but what it is it gets you involved with, it's not all about you. It's about your community. It's about your neighbors. It's about being out there, stepping out, jumping out there, and helping out your community when they need help. It's about going to the nursing homes just to say, hey, Merry Christmas. That's what it's about. It's not about, I got to get my hours in a Mercy Medical Center. Oh my gosh, I don't have time. Hey, you know what? Helping out at the rodeo grounds. Helping out, doing tickets there. That's what community service is. That's what that is. It's not something that you're demanded to be in. It should be a privilege. That's the way I look at it.
Thank you. Mr. Garcia?
I put in my request earlier, and I got what you guys saw as community service. I just want to throw my student voice out there that it is hard to, I think it's 230 credits to graduate within certain subjects at my high school, and adding, say, because I know Anderson New Technology has a community service requirement of 10 hours within their senior year, and I think adding that on top of a student's workload, because some students, they have their sports, they have their clubs, they have their everything, and that they have their work, but their schools, I see that schools have clubs open, and they have outreach open, they have leadership open to invite kids to participate in the community and to give back to something bigger than themselves. But I feel like if we throw out what we stand for, it's kind of like if we require students to fulfill a requirement for community service, it becomes unmeaningful community service, and it becomes a requirement to that. At that point, is it really community service? Is it just another assignment? That's what I'm coming from, and I think that having a community service requirement as a suggestion is not something, as a student, I stand for. And then the cell phone policies, that's a whole other thing with the law. Obviously controversial. It is said and done. There is ways to crack down on it. There's a balance. There's ways you got to teach it, because later on in life, after high school graduation, there's got to come times where you have to have that responsibility within your cell phones. And I think that starts within the schools where you're supposed to learn, where you're with phones. That's that time. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have about that.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman?
Yeah, just a point of clarification. So the language in the resolution, again, proposed, open for discussion, but the law regarding cell phone is prohibit or limit. So it's not necessarily that the ban is the law. I think that to Jacob's point, schools could be very strategic and intentional about teaching kids how to be successful and use them as tools, but the law basically says districts, charters, county offices must develop and approve a policy that either prohibits or limits. So it's not a straight up ban. I just wanted to clarify it.
Thank you. That's the end of my list. Something that's on the resolution, the proposed resolution, that hasn't been discussed in any detail is encouraging parents to, and parental cooperation in the education process. That's something I think we could actually start in pre-K and get parents more involved with educating their kids. I mean, it's too frequently parents throw the kids into school and expect the kids the schools to educate their kids, when we know that parents are the number one teachers of their children. And we need to help parents understand that that's their responsibility. Mr. Orlicki, I like your proposals. I think that they have generated a very lively discussion here. And I appreciate you throwing out this sort of thing, because this is how government is supposed to work. And I want to remind everybody, we are government here. So if there's no more discussion on the proposal, we will go on to...
I'd like to make a motion.
We can't take a motion on something that's not been noticed in the, I mean, it's a Brown Act thing.
No, point of information, and maybe this is for Tom.
Mm-hmm.
So how do we get this as an action item for the next agenda if we don't make a motion?
I think the place on the agenda is your traditional spot for board member feedback, where board members can propose that items be placed on a future agenda. Would that meet your needs?
So you're saying under item 17?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so item 15.1.2, board reports, correspondence, or comment. Does anybody have a board report, correspondent, or comment? Ms. Roberts.
I have a comment. So I've been listening to I've been kind of doing some background or checkouts on CTE and just some other stuff that I see going on. Micro has a scholarship program, and I've been listening to a lot of Micro's stuff lately. And one of the things that he was saying is that there are thousands of job openings, thousands of them. We don't have enough people to fill those positions, mainly because go to college, go to college, go to college. We got nobody out there that wants to do welding, nobody out there that wants to do electrical, nobody out there, well, I can't say nobody, because a couple of my kids are electricians and welders. But there's not enough because everybody's supposed to go to college. Okay, so he's started this scholarship program to get these kids out there learning these trades so that they can actually go straight to work and start making money without a buttload of debt. I don't know if there's any way that we can open this up to the other school districts. I mean, I can call every school and let them know, but it's a $5 million scholarship. if I'm not mistaken, he puts out $2.5 million a year to help these kids get into the trades. So another thing that I was looking at too, and I sent Mr. Freeman the copy of that, or the link to it. The county superintendent down in Southern California, I'd love to be able to see our school district get into teaching entrepreneurship and making sure that budgeting is in some of our classes. I'm a huge advocate for entrepreneurship. I would love to see some of these kids get out there and start their own businesses. So I don't know how to go about that, but that was one thing that I've learned over the last month, is just really listening to some of the stuff going on.
Thank you. Ms. Manuel?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, Mike already talked about it in his report, but I really enjoyed attending the all-call, even though I got a parking ticket there. But I think it's kind of a cool event, and just you get to see all of SCOE in one place, and I just really look forward to that. And I really like when they were showing those videos, the one video of and I don't know his name, but the bus driver, I thought he gave such a moving video, and when he was talking about kind of measuring the value of their life and what you've accomplished in life, and just like, did you help a child? It was so powerful. And so I don't know if there's Carrie sitting back there, if there's any way to, it was pretty long, if there's any way to squeeze it down and share it with the community, I think that would be a great one.
Thank you. Mr. Gorman?
So I had a couple people that I met this month through different resources, but one I shared with folks in the email, the Smart Start nutritional program with Maggie Brown. She's trying to increase, nutritional positive outcomes for her children statewide, countywide, citywide. She lives here in Shasta County. She is part owner of Prestige Healthcare, and she's just looking at ways to give back and reward, instead of like people get awarded, let's say candies, cookies, snacks, ice cream, all that kind of stuff. Instead of doing that, just healthy options and coming in and training faculty and teachers and different folks on their nutritional plan, how to do that more successfully. In healthcare, we just see the rise of diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, obesity going up, and it'd be nice to somehow teach it to parents and kids at a lower level, so we don't see more bad health outcomes later on in life. So I appreciated meeting with Maggie, and I hear that she did meet with Michelle here as well at SCOE. This last month, I always volunteer at Lassen Pines, a camp nurse, which is really fun, and I think I recruited 4 other nurses to work there this year, and we saw over 1,200 kids in 4 months. But mostly we give out Band-Aids and treat abrasions, and it was really fun. But in doing that, I know that they offer overnight camping up there at Lassen Pines for years, ever since I was a kid. I know our SCOE program doesn't have the opportunity for overnight camping right now until West Camp is rebuilt. I sent an email just sharing Unite camps. They're doing science-based overnight camping for a while now, I think in the fall and the spring. And so maybe exploring opportunities with them for an option if people are interested in overnight camping for science camp, which would be cool. I had the opportunity of walking around the whole entire campus and walking over logs and sticks and different things that probably our students couldn't do. But it was a lot of fun. And so they have a lot of opportunities up there for environmental camp. And then the other one I wanted to address, because we all got an email. I did email a few people about this because to me it looked like a Brown Act violation. And then maybe Tom or Mike, you can weigh in on it. We got that email from Natalia Sherry on July 23rd, Jessica French had responded to that. In the past, anything that was like a reply all was thought to be considered a Brown Act violation. I know we decided not to take action on people's social media posts or anything, but when we reply all in a group of people, whether it's something that's on the agenda or off of the agenda, I think we should be really careful, and maybe you guys can give us some education and guidance on that, because in the past, people have said it was a Brown Act violation if there was a reply all and an email to all the board members, and then that becomes a serial meeting and all that kind of stuff. So I was just wanting Tom to educate us on that, so that, like, if, and the lawyer brought it up on the other, I forget his name, but he said if we are communicating in an email about future meetings, about the times of meetings, that's not a Brown Act violation, but it would seem that if it's under our jurisdiction, that would be a Brown Act violation if we're talking about things that we actually have jurisdiction over. So it's like, okay, well, I don't want to be committing Brown Act violations, because in my email I shared with you guys, there's certain like time frames we have to reply to all this stuff if it is a Brown Act violation. It eventually goes to the DA if we don't respond appropriately.
Tom?
Hi, everyone. Did the button work?
You came up, Jacob and Mr. Freeman, do you mind if I bump Tom up in front of you? Thank you. Tom, go ahead.
Just wanted to make sure I knew how to use the button.
No,
Thank you.
you're on here.
Three thoughts for you. First, I want to be cautious about trying to give a legal opinion in any depth in a public setting, so I'm going to confine myself to some general comments. Second, there's always, a lot of details to get into about, Brown Act and who said what to who and reply all and all that. But third, what I will say is I agree with the author that generally reply all emails are to be avoided because they can easily turn into a serial meeting if it goes beyond just discussing time and place of meetings, things like that. I think the thing to keep in mind also is that discussions that are not within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board are not something that you can generally violate the Brown Act on. So, for example, if we were to have a discussion about zoning variances or housing density, you don't have jurisdiction over that. So it's something that board members can discuss without following Brown Act formalities. But I'll go back to the first point I made, which is it is generally not recommended to do reply all emails. So I think the issue there was something that wouldn't show up on your agenda. It was a different subject matter jurisdiction topic.
I guess point of information.
Yes.
So if we're talking about sports, camping, retreats, vacations, we can just start replying all? Is it like a free-for-all? Because you're saying it's not under jurisdiction, so if we're just a little chit-chat here and there, we can just talk about anything?
Well, the concern that I have is schools have a broad jurisdiction. So if we're going to be talking about a particular, professional sports franchise that a certain member sitting at this dais is very fond of, and we want to discuss the merits of that football team, that's not under your jurisdiction, but it can easily go over. Sorry not to be flippant. I'm making fun of Mr. Freeman. But it can easily slap over into something related to school athletics. So that's why it's hard to draw a straight line.
Thank you.
Mr. Garcia.
I just wanted to point out, I like what you said, Teresa, about the CTE pathways and everything. I just want to point out that West Valley, our motto is preparing every student after high school graduation. And over at West Valley, most of our students are encouraged not just to go to college. It's not all about college. It's to have something after high school graduation. You said about welding and like everything. If you ever get the chance, I don't know if it's allowed at all, just to come down, check out what we have at West Valley. We have CTE programs, diesel technology, welding. So it's a great program. I don't think, all hope is lost, like no kids want to do the trades and everything, because we have multiple job fairs. We have the universal Trade Institute that comes every year, and they show off all the trade schools that they offer. So most schools in our district do set up kids for things after high school graduation, aren't just college. So it's amazing what we have going down out there.
Thank you. Mr. Freeman.
All right, really quick, I would like to reiterate or emphasize what Jacob did say, because I think board field trips could be kind of cool. And that is something that I do get asked a lot, like what are schools doing about trades? For every 10 people that are leaving trades, one person is going in. So as that trade workforce is aging and retiring, they are not being replaced. And so I think that schools are, I mean, when you look at our own mission and vision statements, we look at college and career, and I think schools are doing some pretty phenomenal things around career technical education. I know West Valley, I know Gateway, Shasta Union High School District, and actually at Enterprise, their construction program is remarkable as well. So also, Laura, I just forwarded you an email regarding your ticket. If you take a picture of your ticket and send it to that person, it will be cleared, so hopefully you haven't paid it. Also, to Teresa's point, thank you for sharing the video, and I can include that in my next board update and pass it along. There is a financial literacy requirement now in California, so I think shifting even from economics to more personal finance, and so in the spirit of business ownership. And then also thank you for the information that you have been sending on a couple of things. I am scheduled to be with superintendents on August 27th for our first meeting, and I think around that Unite Camp, I think it would be a great opener to say, what does camp replacement look like, and having opportunities and options for districts to pursue so that they can keep kids in those residential overnight science camp experiences. And I'm going to ignore Tom's dig at my team.
Thank you. It's the end of the list, so we'll move on to item 16, which is reminders of upcoming events. September 4th, we have the movie Sentenced at the Cascade Theater. September 5 through 7, we have our county board conference in Monterey. September 6th, we have the Champions for Children event at Turtle Bay. And September 24th, we have our special board planning session, which will be 8 a.m. next door. It will be here in this building, so come here. Item 7. Well, down at the bottom. Our item 17, board member meeting feedback. Mr. Gorman, you suggested that we bring the resolution in support of student success back as an action item. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Brown. So if this is the appropriate time, I was going to just make a motion. That way we have a whole month to reflect on it, read it, see what we like. You could even make edits at the next read if that's something that would be appropriate. But for now, I'd like to make a motion to bring just want to say it right.
Resolution in support of student success. Item 15.1.1.
There it is. Sorry. Yeah. So I'd like to make a motion to bring back the proposal resolution in support of student success as an action item for our next regular scheduled meeting.
That's in the minutes. Ms. Manuel.
Yeah, so two things. I wanted to really welcome Jacob and Abby. It's great to have you here. You just took off running. You've already hit your stride, so it's just, you're going to be a great addition. I'm really pleased to have you on the board with us. And if there's any way that I can support you or help you, please don't hesitate to ask a question. And then what Arthur just talked about bringing this back as an action item. And it's like, how do the other board members get involved? Because this is Michael's trees. And so maybe, Teresa mentioned CTE, maybe that should be something on here, or other board members have priorities or would want to say it in another way. So how does everybody get to play on that?
Point of order. Just 1 second. If the motion is on the table, I need a second, and then after the second, then you can do discussion, correct?
It's not an action item. It's just, you're suggesting we bring it back as an action item. That goes
So
on the
there's
agenda.
no,
So
so point of information, there's not an actual way to bring it as an action item.
We've always had the custom and bylaw that any board member could make that suggestion at this point in the meeting, so.
And it's a suggestion, but will it be added to the next agenda as an action item? How does that happen? What's the process?
You made a motion, correct?
I made a motion, but they're saying that there's no motion. So I'm a little confused at
Well,
what's
yeah,
happening
so it's one of those conflicts we have between our bylaws and Robert's Rules of Order. So, under Robert's Rules, we would take the motion, get a second, vote on it.
Right.
Okay, under our custom, under our bylaws, the way it's always been is if you make this a suggestion at this point, it comes back as an action item. We've always done it that way.
No, we haven't always done it that way.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think this falls in a little bit of gray area between what your past practice has been and what Robert's Rules requires. Robert's Rules, you've made a motion to bring new business to a future meeting. That's a valid motion. Typically, it would require a second, and then there's discussion. I think a little informality is acceptable if the board just wants to skip having a second and discuss the merits of Mr. Gorman's motion and then call the question. So what I'm trying to say is you could go either way.
And Ms. Manuel made the point that we all need to be involved in creating this. And she asked the question about how we do that. And that would be the question that would come up at the next board meeting during the discussion. How do we all get involved? So,
Yeah, I'm point of information, I'm just asking for clarification on a procedure. So I made a motion, but in doing a motion, there's steps that you take to complete the motion. So are we following Robert's Rule of Order when we're making our motion, or are we just flying off the cuff and just deciding whatever we want? So, I'd rather go back to the parliamentary part where we have rules and processes in order and we operate within the defined guidelines and not go away from Robert's Rule of Order that we voted to follow. So I just would like us to follow Robert's Rule of Order when we're talking about this and not push it to the side.
I have a point of information on that too, because it seemed like to me, in my years on the board, unless something was listed under the action item, you could not have a motion on it. So to bring up a motion now, but now it sounds like you can't do that. So I'm confused too.
Mr. President, may I speak to it?
yes, sir.
That is the one thing that does not require an agenda item, is for board members to ask for agenda items to be added to a future meeting. So it is customary to do it either at the end of a meeting with a specific agenda item. Your custom is to do it at this point with board member feedback. So it's acceptable under the Brown Act to say, I would like staff to put something on the agenda at a future meeting. And under Robert's Rules of Order, fine, a motion, a second, discussion, and then a vote if needed. Or, you know, informally, if it's just general consensus, okay, fine, it's going to be put on the next agenda. So you could do it either way. If you want to adhere to Robert's Rules, it's a request to add an agenda item, motion, second, discussion, vote. I hope that helps.
I'm fine with either way. Is there a second?
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we bring the resolution in support of student success back at the September 10th board meeting. I'm sorry? As an action item. We will now take, yeah, we will now take discussion. Mr. Orlicki, you're next up.
I mean, I view it as when you discuss an action item, you can make amendments or modifications to it before you vote on it. So wouldn't that be how that could be taken place? So you have a month, you would have a month to think about what should be added or what should be taken away. So you can make motions like, I move that we remove number 7 or whatever it is. And then if we pass it that way, then number 7 comes off of the resolution. And then that's how it would be passed then, is how I would look at it. I don't think I'm incorrect in saying and assuming that. So, you know, if Teresa wanted to add a CTE one on there, she would just make a motion to, I move that we add a CTE, or what we support CTE programs in schools or something like that. So that's how that would take place in my mind. Does that make sense? I mean, I know it sounds sloppy. I mean, I can yield to someone else, right, if it's my time. Yeah, so I can yield to you if you want to. Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. That's how we normally do it, but when you're doing something that involves writing, then I can just see it being a really cumbersome thing with all these different, I mean, there's 7 members of the board, everybody has ideas, and so just to keep up with, it's not just like you're rewriting one paragraph in a resolution or something that you have concern about. It's like some, I don't know, it seems almost, but whatever.
Are you yielding back? Okay.
If I may make a suggestion,
Okay.
let's bring this up at the September 24th board meeting. We will be here all day. We will have time to discuss it.
The motion is to bring it back for September 10th.
Yeah,
though,
I'm
right?
moving to
Yeah.
amend, so.
Oh, you're moving to amend? Yeah. I guess you have to ask for a second. then, right?
So do we have a second?
So are you saying to bring the discussion of what Mr. Orlicki wrote to the September 24th meeting
The special board planning meeting, yes,
and not to the regular board meeting?
and not to the regular board meeting.
Because we would have more time to discuss, because obviously this
Yes,
topic
sir.
does take a lot of time.
Yes. I mean, it's not a simple thing. There are multiple points to the resolution.
And like exactly what Ms. Laura, got it. So sorry. Ms. Laura said that we do need to have every board member's feedback on it and not just one board member's. And I see your point by saying that September 24th meeting, we would have the time to get every single board member's opinion on what we're writing, what we believe in. I second.
So it's been moved and seconded that we amend the motion to bring this back to the board at the September 24th board meeting rather than the next regular scheduled board meeting. Yes, Ms. Manuel?
But at that study session, we usually don't do any action items. Is that a problem? Can we have an,
So we will do a roll call vote. Teresa?
Aye.
Michael?
No.
Laura?
no.
Arthur?
No.
Jacob?
Aye.
Abby?
Aye.
And I affirm as well. What's the vote?
So the amendment would fail. Yeah, so the amendment would fail, right? But the original motion's still on there. No.
Okay, so just to be clear, we would rather have this at a regular board meeting rather than an all-day session where we would have time to discuss it. Okay? Then we will move back to the original motion to bring it to the board at the September 10th, is that the right date? Board meeting. It's been moved and seconded. Teresa?
Point of information. So we're voting on whether we are bringing this back to the regular scheduled board meeting, correct?
That's what you asked for.
Okay. I'd be in favor of that, yeah.
Teresa?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Laura?
Aye.
Arthur?
Aye.
Jacob?
No.
Abby?
Aye.
And I abstain, so motion carries.
What's the reason for abstaining?
Because I think we're talking about the process and not the actual resolution. And that was an objection that I had originally to moving to Robert's Rules of Order in the first place. And I'm just a little bit, so I'm abstaining. We still have.
Point of-
Laura-
point
hang
of-
hang on. Yeah. Laura's up next. Oh, actually, Tom's up next. Tom
We're
passes.
good, thank you.
Goes to Laura. You're next up in the queue, Laura. Okay, Michael? Okay, and then I have, okay. Sure. Mr. Gordon?
I was just saying, I think this meeting went pretty well. We had a couple session item that took a very long time, and I think we worked very well together to get that accomplished. And, yeah, it's been a long meeting, but I think everybody did great, and I thank the student board members for participating, because it's really nice to get your guys' perspective on things.
We have no one left in the queue, so we'll go to our item 18, which is our next meeting, which will be September 10th, right here at the PDC. And with that, we're adjourned.
Turtle Bay will be $2 charge for non-members over 13 years old.